a crazy, insane, never-ending week in sports. Speed, offense. Ty just might be right, and who knows what else we touch on before it's over. It's all coming up on tip-off. Boom, 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 boom. Bounty Gate. Boom, 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 boom. Sarah Phillips. Dun, 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 dun. Jared Weaver no hitter. Dun, 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 dun. Junior Seau. No, 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 no. Derrick Rose. Boom, 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 boom. Mariano Rivera. All just some of the things that happened this week. This has been the craziest sports week. You talk about the 24-hour news cycle. We have had momentous, major, incredible, overwhelming, heart-wrenching injuries, moments, stories this week, and they've lasted each about 3 hours. This is a talk show host's dream. I mean, you've got legitimate, real stories with compelling discussions. Why couldn't they wait till the summer? But seriously, I mean, the Roger Goodell Bountygate story lasted an hour because Junior Seau, let's see, coincidentally or ironically, I never get that right, commits suicide. If you haven't read the Sarah Phillips ESPN story, do that. Search ESPN Deadspin. And then awful announcing followed it up. Jared Weaver throws a no-hitter that goes unnoticed. Mariano Rivera is done with an ACL, probably for his career last night. What about the Billy Hunter story? Unbelievable. How much they're stealing money from, that's gone. Derrick Rose's ACL is gone. It's and I'm missing a bunch. I mean, this week has been just crazy. Just and very real. I mean, Bountygate and the suspensions by Roger Goodell were pretty incredible, and frankly, he was pretty lucky that he took it that way because the Junior Seau story follows immediately afterwards, and had he undercut those suspensions, he would have been in problem. The Junior Seau story, and we do not know, the autopsy took place yesterday. We do not know the results yet. But it is the ongoing head injury issues in the NFL and football are going to be the number one sports story for the next decade. The only thing I would say, and we can talk, and if I have time at the end, because I know you guys are looking for jazz stuff. The Seau story is really tragic, but that's the third NFL player in 15 months. There were 3 hockey players this summer who killed themselves. Uh, certain sports can disappear. It's happened throughout history. They just eventually disappear. And football, as it is today, is close to getting there in the next 50 years. Kind of crazy. Gambling will carry it for a long time, but only for so long. All right. If you're wondering, what does a play-by-play announcer do the day after a massacre on an off day? I worked for about 3 hours in the morning on various prep numbers, things like that. And then I took my car to Burke Brothers to get its tires changed and went on a 2-hour mountain bike ride. And then my buddy called, and so then I played 9 holes of golf. And then I went for dinner with the family and hung out with the kids. And then I rewatched the game. So it was a good day until then. But actually, rewatching the game was really interesting because I had just finished watching the end of the Miami-New York game, and then TiVo or DVR'd through Oklahoma City, Dallas until I couldn't stomach watching Oklahoma City win. So then I went to something else I couldn't stomach. The speed by which Oklahoma City, Miami, and San Antonio play is the separator in a lot of ways of what those teams are and the rest of the NBA. San Antonio speed is much more based on trust, and that they move the ball. They're not also athletic, but the ball moves fast because they don't even have to look to see where they pass. Miami's athletic speed, both in the half court defensively and in transition, is out of this world. And then Oklahoma City's athleticism and speed is exactly that. It's a relentless athleticism and speed that comes at you. And those are the areas where I look at us and we're not quite there. Um, and that's just gonna have to be as we build and get some personnel to get there. The but that's what separates right now. Uh, when you watch and part of it is some of the ways we play, going into the post al and the ball stopping um, slows us down, and so we don't play with that same speed as much as Westbrook and Durant and Harden play a tremendous amount of one-on-one. They're coming at you in their one-on-one play. I'm not sure we have guys that are initiating that at you approach the same way. Devin certainly is not in this series of the point guard. He's very passive. Gordon is not that kind of guy. The best we have of that, frankly, is our offensive glass work, which really is a huge part of what we are offensively. Is we're the second best offensive rebounding team in the NBA, and we score a huge amount in the offensive glass. And we are not getting any of that in this series. We're a lot of tips around the rim, but I think we only hit about 45% or 50% of our shots around the rim the other day. So that's one of our problems is where do we, where are we initiating the game? Where are we pushing at you? Where are we putting you back on your heels? And, we used to probably do it more with offensive execution, and I'm not sure our execution was that terrible. I'll tell you what, I went and rewatched that game. We just didn't hit shots. I know that sounds ridiculous, but and a lot of the people, including myself, were very harsh on Al after game one, and he seems to just be our lightning rod. And there's legitimate areas of concern and stuff, but I rewatched the first half with that in mind, and it's not. I don't think it's valid. He really just doesn't get the ball very much. And if you just run through our first quarter, Devin gets an open free throw line jumper on the first play, misses. We have some terrible passes. Gordon Hayward misses 3 or 4 shots he has to make for us to be successful. I mean, honestly, Gordon Hayward had as bad an offensive game as anyone on this roster in this game. We were very loose with the basketball at times, which was not acceptable. But I have in the first quarter, Jefferson gets 4 touches in the post. 1 at the left elbow, he beats Duncan. 2 where he goes to the middle on Duncan and he can't finish. And a 3rd where he gets triple teamed. But a huge part of our problem is we can't make any shots. Harris, we're down early in that game. I tweeted this out yesterday. We're down early in that game by, I think, 7. We've missed 4 wide open shots. You're not going to make all of those, but wide open. Harris, wide open 3, no. Hayward, wide open 3, no. Harris, pull-up jumper, wide open, no. Hayward, wide open shot, no. You got to make shots. And we can all talk about energy and effort and all these other things, which I agree. I said the same things. You don't make shots, you never look like you're trying. We have some terrible possessions in there. Damari Carroll's out on the right wing. No one comes and sets a pick for him. He throws a soft pass that gets intercepted for a dunk the other way. You can't do that if you're playing the Spurs. But on the other end, we're just way off. we're just way off offensively. And we can all talk about defense, but I'm watching the defensive possessions. When you miss offensively and they get out on you, you're dead. Tony's too quick. They get out to spots. We don't have the speed to match that, and it's a real problem. But as much as everyone jumped on Al in that first half, the best criticism I could give him was there were two times in which he's trying to post up Dwan Blair and he gets kind of knocked off his spot and gets pushed up a little higher, and then we don't throw the entry pass into him. I thought Hayward and Howard both quit pretty quickly on getting the ball to him, but on the other end, that's where you're now spending so much time trying to get the ball into Al, into the post, and he catches it and takes his time that you really are not, you have no speed and quickness that we talked about to open this. But that's where, if you look at what we're doing in the criticism of where Al's offense has gone, largely he's just never touching the ball. In the run where the game got out of hand at the end of the second quarter, when he comes in the game, here, not to bore you to death, but here are the 13 offensive possessions. The first one is that possession I talked about, Carroll. No one comes to set the pick for Carroll, which made you wonder if anyone's ready. I don't know who was supposed to set, if it was Millsap or Jefferson. They throw the ball away. Fast break the other way. Al gets it left block. He's immediately triple teamed. He swings up to Burks, who misses a top of the key jumper. Burks had a really tough game, by the way, rewatching it. Okay. Next possession, they swing a pass. Al's only touches. They swing the pass left to right, or they swing the left to right. Al gets no offensive touch. He throws a swing pass. Millsap goes one-on-one on a drive and can't finish. Okay? I mean, really, Burks misses an open look. Millsap's just not good enough to beat his guy. At some point, there's a stark reality here, but this is what's going on. Next possession, we do go to Al left block. His major problem here is whenever he straightens up on Al Jefferson, on Tim Duncan, Duncan knocks it away. When he wants to come straight, then he can ball fake you and pump fake you and do all these things. Duncan knocks the ball out of his hand. That eliminates then half his game, because then he's got to turn his shoulder back into Duncan every time. And he goes to the middle, and he's fading as he's going in the middle in this series, and he's missing that shot virtually every time. Okay, so that was his look and that's what his looks have been, and he's not doing it well. And Duncan's letting him go middle, but he's cutting off his angle. Instead of so many guys trying to force Al to drop step to the baseline, and Al got Duncan on that twice in game one, so now he's allowing him to go middle, but he's forcing his angle on an angle away from the basket, preventing him from getting a foul call, but also making it so Al's been short on everything. Still haven't scored, right? We don't hear from. Okay, so then high pick and roll with Harris, who we never run that very well. Boy, you watch the comparison between how San Antonio executes a pick and roll compared to us. It's stunning. Harris goes away from the pick, cross-court pass to Burks, who drives the baseline and gets suffocated. Boom, there they go the other way. Next possession, Al doesn't get a touch. Harris gets called for the crab dribble, turnover in the lane as he tries to force. Next possession, Al doesn't get a touch. Millsap tries to go one-on-one on Duncan, which was an asinine decision, and fails because no one – I got to find some time where someone's actually scored on Duncan other than Al's two drop steps. Okay? Next touch, next possession, Howard misses a 16-footer in early, no touch for Al. Next possession, he actually catches left block. So while this game has gotten away from the Jazz in the second quarter, and Favors goes out of the game, and whether that has an impact, I don't think Favors actually has an impact on hardly any of this. Here he gets his third touch in 9 possession. He catches low block. Duncan, they're shading at him one-on-one, and again, he's forced into a fadeaway 14-footer and misses. So he's useless scoring over Duncan, which is important for us because he's got to at least score 50% of the time. He's scoring 0% of the time over Duncan. Just throwing everything else off, but nothing else is going right. Next possession, no touch. Hayward misses another 15-footer. Then Al gets a wide-open free-throw line jumper and misses. No touch. Howard misses on a drive, no touch, as Millsap finally scores on the 13th possession of that second quarter that got away. But a lot of that is missed shots. A lot of that's guys trying to go one on one. A lot of that is we're not getting anything easy out of the offense from the Spurs. Our issues are offensive. As much as we focused on Duncan and Parker and everything else, there's no way you're slowing down the Spurs entirely. You better be able to score an awful lot. Uh, Back to the big lineup for a second. I'm getting long here, I know. Uh, the concern from Tyrone Corbin has been defensively the speed issue that we're talking about and what you need speed-wise on the floor when they move the ball. There's a chance he's right, guys. I mean, I know it's wonderful to sit around and criticize all the time, but in 10 minutes that it's been on the floor, and that's it's a small sample size. It's the only sample size we've got, right? It's the only sample size we have. The big lineup has not been able to stop anything. In fact, it's the worst defensive lineup we've put out on the floor yet. Now, let me just take a moment to put it in Ty's perspective. If you're Ty, you've done your pregame analysis, you've done your film study, you've talked with your coaches, and you are concerned that the big lineup is not going to be able to stop anyone. And it's on the floor for 10 minutes, which is a long time in basketball parlance. And it hasn't stopped anyone. You don't change your opinion at that point. Fact of the matter is, if you come in with the opinion that it's not going to stop anyone, and it doesn't stop anyone for about 2 minutes, you probably come close to making a change as a coach in an NBA game. So Ty has come into this with legitimate concern of how that lineup's going to score offensively, and because we don't have an advantage anywhere. Nobody can score on Duncan. Favors can't beat Bonner in the post, and Millsap can't beat Jackson. So we got to find a way to score, which is frankly an offensive rebound. But defensively, he's very concerned when they spread the floor and do that we can't get out to their shooters or handle it. And the early indications through 10 minutes of playing time are exactly right. I'm not saying this means you don't go to the big lineup, but let's consider for a moment that our head coach actually might be right. Just a thought. There is so much to talk about, but I am going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. There's just a million other items on the board. What a week. Bagley and Parks probably having a great time with it. DJ and PK, Spence and Scotty are probably all having a great time with it. By the way, if you're wondering, Game 3 Saturday, tickets are available. But more importantly, my daughter, as Gordon Hayward, hit a right angle 3 late to put us up, and the Jazz win by 2 in game. Actually, we were ahead by 4 when when Gordon Hayward, my daughter, hit the 3 on the right side to put the Jazz up, and they won Game 3 in the backyard yesterday. And Gordon Hayward was a terrible post-game interview, being my daughter. Yes, I do play-by-play of all these games. It's been strictly ordered. Have a good one, guys.